Web3 truly is about this one word, ownership. If I come up with an idea and it's recorded on the blockchain, no one can take that from me.
Is that the essence of it?
Whether you're Kanye, or whether you're a young artist, or a TikToker, or someone on OnlyFans, or on YouTube, and you really want to be able to proliferate your ideas and your dreams and be direct with their communities that believe in their ideas, that is what Open is here to solve.
It sounds like everyone is waiting for something like this.
The reason for why I'm building Open is truly for freedom of speech, the freedom and the ability to live out the American dream.
This whole concept of East meets West, I mean, there's a lot to that narrative.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. If you go to America and turn on most of the television, there's this East versus the West narrative.
Why does the East not have its own media platform and its own media voice from Asia to the rest of the world? Why is it always controlled by Western media? How do I create the ultimate platform, leveraging media and tech to create understanding between the two cultures, East and West? I have a crazy story with Kanye West. He goes, I don't want you to build Web3. I want you to build for me Web4. I need to talk to God about that. And he kind of just looked at me like, he needs to talk to God. And I'm like, well, technically, the metaverse is the fourth dimension. It's just a human interpretation of the spiritual realm. The way you truly serve the world is by listening, learning, and unconditionally loving. Whether you're Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, atheist, Jewish, Christian, woke, conservative, left, right, can we first just listen to each other and try to understand and learn by empathizing, and from there start with loving instead of attacking? And I think the world can be a better place.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go? This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Jaeson Ma, the media executive, serial entrepreneur, and artist. You have a long track record of launching successful companies with a particular focus on the Asian market, such as EST Media, Stampede Ventures, East West Ventures, and 88 Rising. You're also an investor, advisor, and partner in several entertainment funds, having raised capital and advised on transactions totaling over $1 billion. After selling drugs as a kid, taking part in rap battles, getting involved with gangs, and being arrested on multiple occasions, you found God, became a missionary, and later worked with MC Hammer before pursuing a career as a venture capitalist. In 2021, you launched the social media platform Open, a Web3 super app for artists and creators, building a decentralized world where communities can come together to create, own, and bring their ideas to the world. Jaeson, welcome to London Real.
It's an honor. Thank you, Brian.
I'm really excited, man. I just want to start by saying that Open is actually one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, which is the world's first media-powered investment firm. Our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Jaeson, super excited to be part of this journey with you, with Open. And let's jump in, man. You've had a crazy life, a crazy journey.
Let's do it.
And I want to get into that, but I did want to start with Open. So maybe we'll kick off there. Tell me about this Web3 super app, and maybe in doing so, you can tell me about EST Media and your mission to bridge East and the West through media, entertainment, technology.
Yeah, maybe talk about the story of how we got into Open. It was actually by accident. And so pre-pandemic, I want to start my ultimate platform, bridging East and West. And so my mission has always been bridging East and West through media, entertainment, technology, through stories and talent. That's been my mission statement since I was 19. I'm 42 now. And so when I had started these East-West media companies like 88 Rising, East-West Ventures, my partner Greg Silverman with Stampede, I was thinking about how do I create the ultimate platform, leveraging media and tech to create understanding between the two cultures, East and West. So at the time, I was really sick and tired of Western media controlling the Eastern narrative, meaning Fox, CNN, Red Dragon, China this, that, New York Times, et cetera, et cetera. And I always just kept thinking, why does the East, which is the largest population in the planet, Asia, not have its own media platform and its own media voice from Asia to the rest of the world? Why is it always controlled by Western media? So at the time I was thinking, why don't we have like our own New York Times, our own CNN? So I then envisioned EST, which stands for Eastern Standard Times. So you can go to easternstandardtimes.com, EST Media, which would be Asian-owned, from an Asian perspective, from Asia, talking about current events, culture, what's happening in the world from an Asian perspective. So when I started it, I raised capital, and it was actually very difficult. There's a whole story behind that. But once we were able to raise our seed capital, I wanted to leverage tech and media with both of my experiences in both. And so I had three divisions. I had UGC, user-generated content, I had PGC, professionally generated content, and I had studios. And the whole idea was almost like a Wattpad webtoon for news and journalism. So the UGC side was a citizen journalism app that I was creating, where I wanted to be similar to like TikTok or companies like Triller that I had invested in, where anyone could be in Bangkok, filming live on their phone a protest that's happening in the streets, and be able to right then and there live stream, air it, record it, commentate on it, and upload it to the network. If that story went viral within our network, then our PGC side, or professionally generated content, would say, wow, that news story is going viral. Let's now do an article, let's do a video, a mini documentary, similar to like Vice or Vox or Huffington Post or New York Times. If that went viral, and that story, that article went 10 million views or, viral, then our studio division would go, hey, wait a second, we have a story here that is potent. We have a story here that we can actually develop into a long form premium piece of content, into a feature film, a TV series, a documentary. So as you know, Spotlight was a Boston Globe article that won the Academy Awards. Hustlers was a New York Times article. Argo was a Vanity Fair article. Narcos was a book, right? And so basically it was this whole farming system of IP where we could use user-generated content, technology, professionally generated content into premium studio content. So raised the capital, had my investors from 88 Rising, my investors from Stampede and other companies that I had raised for. They were all backing me in this. And COVID hit. So when COVID hit, it was quite interesting. I'm stuck at home, and I remember I was one of the first 3,000 invites on Clubhouse. And, it was crazy, right? Everyone's stuck at home, and everyone's on this live audio app, and it was going crazy. It was going viral, and it was like this whole thing. And around that time, one of my investors, Galaxy Interactive, a guy named Richard Kim, who's actually based here in London, he's like, hey, Jason, you ever heard of a phenomenon called social tokens? And I was like, no, what do you mean? He's like, we have this social token called RNG. We have a Discord group. It's built on blockchain. We're leveraging NFTs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, because I invested in Bitcoin since 2015 personally, right? Bitcoin and ETH, but I had never felt it, right? There's a whole nother story with me and Paris Hilton and introducing her to one of the original founding team of Ethereum. And at that time, they wanted to make her the Martha Stewart of blockchain, which she kind of has now become. And but it was too early. And we invested in a few companies, a few dApps, but I never felt it. So he gets me on this Clubhouse, and I'm on this Clubhouse panel with these other social token NFT experts. One guy named Whale Shark, who's the #1 NFT collector in the world, over 500,000 digital art collectibles. a buddy of mine that was a founder of FWB, Friends with Benefits, one of the first and largest DAOs in the Web3 ecosystem. And they're just talking about Web3, DAOs, centralized autonomous organizations, social tokens, NFTs. And I'm like, I'm just being honest with you guys, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I literally don't know. And it brought me down into this rabbit hole where I started talking more to Richard and Whale Shark and my buddy at FWB. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. It's a whole decentralized network where communities can gather and not be owned by a centralized system and be direct with their communities and their ideas and monetize and believe and communicate whatever it is that they're about. So I started going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I started realizing as I started testing some of these Web3 NFT projects that there was just a lot of complexity and disparity. So I started just testing and seeing what could be done. So I remember there was a platform, mirror.xyz, that was kind of like a blogosphere for Web3. And there was an Ethereum documentary that they were trying to raise money for through Ethereum. And I thought, this is interesting. So they're going to try to raise $1 million in Ethereum in, I believe, 24 hours through a crowdfunding campaign. And everyone would have to put in like an ETH to get a credit in the documentary, to get access to, the red carpet or, the Tribeca Film Festival opening or wherever it's going to show. And what was interesting about it was they were saying that if this sells to a network or a streamer or Netflix or whatever that might be, those of you who invested in ETH will get dividends. And I was like, well, this isn't Kickstarter. This isn't GoFundMe, right? Normally, I go donate $100, I get a wristband, or maybe I get to meet the producer. So I thought this is quite interesting. There's actually a level of ownership. Mm-hmm. So they launched the campaign and they raised over $6 million in Ethereum in less than 24 hours. And I contributed, and I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. So not only did I invest in ETH, I not only get credits and perks and access, but I also get dividends if this monetizes. I was like, and we all own a piece of this film. So I was like, this is really, really interesting. And so because I came from the music industry with 80 Rising, I know obviously how the music industry works. I started with MC Hammer when I was 17 years old, and he taught me everything from payola to Clear Channel, Radio 1, and DJs and money under the table, and just how the whole music industry works and how little music artists get paid. That was in the CD era. Fast forward into digital streaming, or DSPs, digital streaming platforms, Spotify, to give an example. My top artist at 88 Rising has to get 100 million streams to get paid 300 grand. Okay, so you literally have to get almost 500 million streams to make $1 million, right, on Spotify or Apple, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How many artists are actually getting 1 billion streams, right? We're talking about the top 0.1 percentile. So it doesn't matter if you're getting 1 million streams on Spotify or 10 million streams, you're not making money, right? And so I saw this rap artist, I don't want to mention the name because it's too controversial, and he got canceled, I'll just put it this way. And I was like, okay, great. This guy got canceled. He has no way of distributing his music on DSPs, meaning Spotify, Deezer, Apple, because they all took him off. He got dropped by his major music label. He literally has no other options. And I'm like, he's a perfect guinea pig. So our team met with his management and was like, you should make your next music album an NFT. And they're kind of like, what is this? What is that? Convinced them to do it. They had no other options. Let's go for it. So he put 7 songs that he had not released and connected them to an NFT with a digital asset or digital art that was connected to each song, and made 1 million albums, priced them each at $1. He puts out on his social media, which he had 10 million followers on YouTube and Instagram, and said, I'm making the first rap NFT album. Goes viral in only 24 hours, drops the mint, and it sells out in less than 60 seconds. Servers crashing, credit card, crypto payments. So about 80% bought with credit card, about 20% bought with crypto. There were over 600,000 transactions on the back end. We're seeing all the data. He made $1 million in less than a minute and went platinum. That would never happen to him.
Even if he wasn't canceled.
Even if he wasn't canceled.
Right.
And I'm going, holy, this is wild. And what was even crazier was the 20% that bought with crypto, they started reselling the album on NFT marketplaces like OpenSea. So he loses his mind, and he's on Instagram, and he literally does a backflip into his pool, and he's like, y'all don't understand. Like, not only am I making bread, y'all are making bread, right? We're making money together, right? My fans. And that's when light bulbs started going off in my head. But I'm looking at this whole experience. It took a team of over 10 of us, right, from engineering and devs to create a separate website that had a music player that could then connect a crypto wallet and a credit card to then market on Clubhouse and Discord for community, Twitter, social media. And then you had to connect a MetaMask, and then you had to go and, Discord and talk to your community. And then you had to create another website. It was just like everything was disparate, everything was disconnected, and it was just so difficult just to buy this $1 album. So I thought to myself, like, Web3 is hard. It's complex. There's got to be a better seamless UI UX to streamline Web3 access and ownership. And so that's when I had this idea, because I spent time living in China and I saw the rise of WeChat in 2010, 11, and 12, when it just started as a walkie-talkie app. And all of a sudden now it's over 1 billion daily active users, and it does everything. Like, truly, it is the world's first and only truly major super app that does payments to food delivery, to paying for your cell phone bill, to the electricity in your home, to everything and anything you can literally do through one app.
We don't have a concept of that in the West, do we?
Not yet.
Right. We segmentize everything. I tweet over here.
That's right.
I pay over here. I shop over here.
That's right.
But WeChat is truly everything.
It's everything. And there's a lot of different reasons, I believe, from a cultural standpoint, the timing of when WeChat was launched by Tencent, because it didn't have all these other segmented services. Like in America or the West, you have DoorDash, and then you have Airbnb, and then you have Uber, and you have all these different services that came before a super app could come into the West. Whereas in China, this truly was the app that everyone used to communicate and then have goods and services brought upon it. So I'm looking at this whole situation and I'm going, wow, crypto is its own community. It's its own country. It has its own language. It has its own people. It has its own belief system. It has its own governance. And I'm like, crypto needs its own super app. And so this is when I was like, if I could streamline the UI UX to have a Web 2 seamless experience, but is powered by Web 3 or blockchain technology, then there is a massive opportunity here to solve the issues of complexity and also service an entire community, country, or industry. So I went back to Galaxy and I was like, guys, I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. The citizen journalism app that I'm creating that feels like TikTok or Triller, I want to pivot this and make it a Web3 super app. And that's how OP3N was birthed. And so they extended our seed round, gave us the capital, and then I brought in Warner Music Group and Yasu, founder of Animoca, Jiho, founder of Axie Infinity, Gabby, founder of YGG, Whale Shark, and I call them the Asian Web3 Mafia. These are my buddies. They all came into my seed extension round, and then we pivoted because I said I need to hire blockchain engineers, and I hired a whole team out of Vietnam, and we started developing and pivoting our UGC citizen journalism app into a Web3 super app, which now became open.
Okay. And you made an announcement earlier this year on TechCrunch, I think, talking about $100 million valuation, $28 million invested. Like you said, the who's who of investing with you. Avalanche was in there as well. And Yatsu, chairman of Animoca Brands, who's been here in the show, was in that seat a couple months ago. He said, Open is creating a platform where artists and creators can significantly increase their revenue streams while enjoying true digital ownership of their assets. And we know Yat is a big fan of ownership. And that's what you just talked about is a demonstration. We can talk about that. He went on to say this model is revolutionizing the way people create and interact in the digital world in a way that Web2 simply can't. Jason and Eric, as your co-founder, have a strong track record in media and entertainment and abundant talent and tenacity, and I believe their vision of the open super app could powerfully impact entertainment, community access, and ownership. Strong statements from, I think, probably the most important guy right now in the metaverse, which is Yat.
Yes, the man.
Yeah.
It really is an honor, and it's a blessing to have Animoca and Yat not only personally invest, but through Animoca lead our Series A. I'd known Yat pre-Animoca becoming this multi-billion-dollar behemoth in Web3. I still remember it was 2018. We were in Hong Kong at a Rise conference. It's kind of like a web summit in Hong Kong. And we were both in Macau, and I remember at the time, I don't remember exact details, but I remember him either being delisted from the Australian Stock Exchange, and Animoca was just, there was no hope. And I remember looking at him like, yo, any way I can help, me and my friends, let us know. And I had not talked to Yat since that point. And then now I'm in COVID, it's like 2021, and I'm sitting with a major venture capital firm. And they're just like, man, Animoca, Yatsu. And I'm like, Yat? I'm like, there's only one Yat I know, right? So I text him, I'm like, yo, what's going on? And we catch up, and it cannot happen to a better founder. I look at Yat as a founder of founders. He's a proven founder. He's been in this space for 2 decades plus, with incredible successes, ebbs and flows, highs and lows, but through it all, just resilient. And he truly is a leader of leaders, and he truly is a technologist, and he's a visionary. And so the success of Animoca now becoming the biggest player in Web3 could not be given to a leader in this space better than someone like Yat. And so I'm just very, very, very honored to have him on our cap table and on our board and leading our Series A.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and it's great having him out in front, just talking all the time, going around the world and trying to explain people, what's happening here. And again, digital property rights is something he's so passionate about. But even if we unpack that example that you gave of that rapper who was canceled and now created IP and a direct relationship between him and his fans, there's a lot going on there, because a lot of us have been canceled over the years by, media companies, technology platforms. And it goes to show you that layer was standing in the way of all of this incredible engagement, commercial success. And when you found a way to take them out of it, you had an artist connecting with fans, both creating great value, money. I mean, what an amazing example that is. And so for people that don't understand what Web3 is that the essence of it, where it's this peer-to-peer? Is it a direct connection between people without a middleman? How do you explain that to people?
So for me, open is about empowerment. And what I mean by that is, how can I empower anyone, any human being, to own their ideas and be direct with the communities that believe in their ideas without a middle layer? And Web 1 was about what we understand as read. I can go on Yahoo, first Netscape, then Yahoo, then Google, and I can read and receive information. Web 2 was about write, where now, after the first .com bubble in 2004, 5, 6, came the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Twitters, now Instagram, TikTok, etc., where now I can publish or I can write, right? Web2 is about writing. Now I, as a user or creator, can now publish content that others can receive. But the problem with Web2 is that it's owned by these centralized technology companies like FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, that control, right, your data, your information, your followers, your ideas, your IP is all owned. And so whether you're Donald Trump or you're Kanye West or you're Brian Rose or whoever it is, if these giant pyramid new Egyptian companies with their pharaohs, who are the Zuckerbergs and Elon Musk of whoever, don't like your content, don't like you, don't like what you're putting out there, they can censor you, they can filter you, they can cancel you, they can remove you, they can take you down, take you out. So in other words, you don't own anything. In Web 2, you own zero. The technology company, Silicon Valley, owns everything. They own your data, which is the new oil, it's the new gold. And they're selling that gold, they're selling that data to advertisers. That's where they're making their dividends, their wealth. So Spotify is literally making billions while our artists are making crumbs, pennies. Writer strike, actor strike right now happening in Los Angeles. You have Bob Iger, the head of Disney and Fox. You had Ted Sarandos, the head of Netflix, and they're outwardly saying, we're just gonna starve them out, because it doesn't matter to them. While they're on their yachts and they're on their boats and they're sitting at the top of these technological pyramids, these media pyramids, those that actually contribute the value to these corporations don't actually receive any value. And so it's really interesting when you think about it. Well, then how do we win? You cannot win in Web 2. The only ones that win are the pharaohs of these new pyramids that have been created in the Web 2 era through now Silicon Valley. And so to me, it was quite interesting. I remember meeting with a TikToker. She had a song that went viral. She was signed to a major label. And we were at NFT Art Basel, Miami 2 years ago. And we're sitting there and she was saying to me that she's been signed to this label for almost 5 years. Her album's been shelved. She's not been able to release and get her music out. She has over 500,000 followers on TikTok. One of her songs went viral and had over 500 million views. And she said, I have not seen $1,000 from TikTok. And she goes, Jason, I don't know how to communicate with my fans. I don't know who they are. I don't know how to talk to them. I have VC guys. I have fans that want to, support me, buy my music, invest in me, but I don't even know where to start. And I said, I'm building a little app, a little platform called Open that will give you the ability to be direct with your fans through chat, to monetize and sell your merch and your music through our streaming platform, our video platform, our shop, and you'll be able to still live stream and do everything you do on all these other platforms in one place, but you are direct with your fan base, and we take a minimal, let's say, I don't know, at that time yet, we hadn't figured it out, but we're thinking maybe 10, maximum 20%, but you keep majority, 80 to 90%. And she looked at me, she said, are you serious? So she says, it's like YouTube and a music label in a app? And I was like, yes. And she looked at me like, how do I get on it? And she said to me something very interesting. She said, this is the first time I've had a conversation with an executive in media where I felt like the conversation's not like this. I felt like the conversation's like this. And she started literally having like tears in her eyes. Because my point was, how can I empower you as the artist to own your IP, own your ideas, own your music, own your content, and be direct with your fan base, direct with your community, without me filtering or controlling how you do that. And so that was when the light bulb went off to me, when I said, okay, Web3 truly is about this one word, ownership. Is that because of decentralization, because of the blockchain ledger, because things cannot be taken away, because it's an actual digital receipt on the block that says, if I create this idea and it is authenticated and historically recorded, no one can take that idea from me. So when my best friend, Phil Chen, he was my board member at 88rising. He's now my board member at EST and Open. He was the first one that introduced to me blockchain back around 2014. And he was actually the one that introduced me to the first major DAO. It was called the DAO. And he was the guy that introduced me to the founding members of the Ethereum team. And I asked him a question. I said, so because of blockchain and this decentralized internet that's not controlled by any centralized platform or organization or corporation or anyone, but it is mined by a decentralized network of computers where there's consensus, you're saying to me, it doesn't matter whether I'm born into the royal family of England or I'm born into Skid Row and a homeless family in downtown Los Angeles. If I come up with an idea and it's recorded on the blockchain, no one can take that from me. And he said, yes. I said, wow, this is powerful. That anyone and everyone can own their ideas, can own their IP. That's what the Western world was built upon, was patents. The idea that we can own our ideas, right, legally. Well, with technology now, everyone and anyone can own their ideas and be direct with their communities that believe in their ideas without a middle layer or a middleman. And that is what Open is here to solve. So when I decided to go full force on Open, it was to make efficient and to bring together all this disparity where I'm on Twitter right now to talk about politics, and it's the open town hall for my views. Then I have to go to YouTube to create longer form content, but then I have to go to TikTok to create viral content. Then I have to go to Instagram to market and show my best self. And then I have to go to Clubhouse or Discord to have an AMA, and all these disparate platforms where I'm not monetizing off of any of these, right? How can I create a platform where you can use all these Web2 platforms to market your ideas and your brand and your beliefs? But Open becomes a place where you can actually monetize all of this demand where you can't in Web 2, but you now can in Web 3 on the Open platform.
Yeah, and how many Web 2 creators out there are dying for something like this? How many of them don't even know that they need something like this? And I mean, take us, for example, or take a politician or a commentator, or I mean, the spectrum's everywhere. And most people have no idea how to monetize, or definitely being under monetized on whatever platform they're on. They don't know what to do. They've stumbled sometimes on something that makes a little money here. There's a Patreon here, there's an OnlyFans here, but they have no idea. They're probably literally sitting on tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, but also value creation. You know, you mentioned that rapper. The label could have never come up necessarily with that idea. They couldn't have generated that revenue, and now he's generated it, and everyone wins on the back of it. And so it sounds like everyone is waiting for something like this. I know we have been for a while. How do you build something like that?
It's a great question. I look at, regardless of your belief, whether you're extreme left or extreme right? But you look at whether it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying that he's been filtered, he's been regulated, he's been canceled, that literally his content's been taken down by his own Democratic Party, by the Biden administration, or someone like Trump that gets canceled off of Twitter and gets canceled off of all other platforms and says, you know what, I'm going to create my own platform, Truth Social. Or someone even like Tucker Carlson, right, who gets fired from Fox, and now he's getting 100 million plus views on every video he has on Twitter. But they're all going, if Web 2 cancels me, or Web 2 filters me or censors me and controls me, where else can I go? And all of them are trying to figure out how to create their own platforms. I have a crazy story with Kanye West. If you don't, I've never shared this, but I think I might as well. So around the time,
I brought you here for some good stories.
This is definitely a good story. And I was developing Open. This is before we closed our Series A. And a friend of mine who was working for Kanye, I won't mention his name, but he was one of his very close strategic team members. And he was just catching up with me like, hey, Jason, teach me more about Web3 and blockchain and crypto. And I was telling him what I was doing with Open and building this SuperApp. And he looked at me and he was like, Jay, you need to present this to Kanye. And I was like, what, really? And he was like, yeah, Kanye wants to build the Apple killer. And I was like, okay, sure. I mean, like, I don't know. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, he's going to ask for a large percentage. And I was like, well, I don't think I can give more than 10%. Right? But he's like, oh, he's going to need a lot more than that. And I was like, well, we'll see. And so I remember the next day he calls me out of the blue and I was on a call with an investor and I got this phone call from my friend. I knew because he was like, just be on alert. So I was like, can you hold please? Pick up the phone. And he's like, I got you a meeting with Ye. He's like, come to Nobu, Malibu right now. And I was like, right now? And he was like, right now. I was like, okay. And he's like, and dressed in all black, no labels, no logos. And I was like, word. so I'm like, I go back on the line, I tell my investor, I'm like, I actually got a meeting with Kanye West right now. So do you mind, I gotta go. And he's like, oh, that's crazy. Do it. Right? So hang on the phone. And then within like a few minutes, my buddy calls me again and he's like, yo, not Nobu Malibu, Soho Warehouse, downtown LA, meet there. When you get there, sit out front. If you see Ye, walk by, do not say hi. His assistant will come down and get you and bring you up. I believe it was the 5th floor. I was like, word. So I hang up the phone, try to find, just anything all black without any type of label, any type of brand, respectfully. Drive down to downtown LA, go to Soho Warehouse. I'm sitting out front. I believe it was a G-Wagon or something pulled up. It was all black. And of course, Ye walks up in a ski mask with his bodyguard. And I don't say hi. He walks right in. Probably like 20, 30 minutes later, I get this call and the assistant brings me up to the 5th floor. I'm sitting there. And he had rented out the entire 5th floor because he was making Donda 2, the album. And it was amazing. So I'm sitting there and there's security, there's people coming in and out. They're like, okay, you just wait a while. He's in the studio having a session. And I'm like, it's all good. I used to work for Hammer. So Hammer sometimes would make me wait for like 2, 3, 4 hours for a meeting. I used to always tell everyone that when Hammer was late for like an hour or two, like he's just on Hammer time. So I was like used to it, right? It's like there's only 2 people in the world that make you wait for hours are either presidents or rappers. And so I was like, all good.
There's a line from his song Stronger where he says, you should be honored by my lateness.
There you go.
There it is. I always remember that.
You gotta be honored for my lateness because of my greatness, right? And so I was like, okay, so an hour goes by, assistant comes back out, I'm so sorry, he's kind of in the zone, he's in the session. And I'm like, it's all good. And he's literally making the song with Alicia Keys, City of Gods. And I'm just like, I'm experiencing this. I'm like, this is insane, right? And I'm just listening to it. Another hour goes by. Security guards are like, yo, this is fire. I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And then she comes back. You can hear
the music.
Oh yeah, I can hear it because they're making it inside. You can hear the music blasting. And then she comes out, she goes, look, I'm really, really sorry. He's really in the zone, but I for sure got him between 9 and noon tomorrow. So can you please come back? And I was like, yeah, no problem, all good. So I go back home next morning, I wake up and I head back to Soho Warehouse. And it's now 9-ish, 10 in the morning. And she brings me right into the room. and he's having a session. And I remember Future was there. He was producing, and he had an engineer, and he had like his whole crew, and it was probably like 10, 15, everyone's in all black. And you know, Kanye's just going off. He's just being Ye. I mean, if you watch the Yeezus documentary, like what I love about Ye is like, he's just 100% Ye.
Yeah.
Unfiltered.
Yeah.
Like he's just truth. He's just him, right? Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. He's just being 100% him. And I remember it was Black History Month, and he was like, something like, this is not Black History Month. This is Black Future Month. And he's just like, boom, we're gonna do this and do that. And I'm just like, wow, like just watching him talk. So he goes on for like an hour, they're making this track, and then they finally take a break. And he walks up past where I'm at, where I'm like next to like, I think that was like the water machine. And I'm with my friend. And he walks by, and he's really cordial. And my friend goes, Yay, this is my friend Jason. He's the guy that's gonna talk to you about Web3. And then Kanye just looks at me, he goes, hey man, you're Web3? And I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, it's a few minutes, we're gonna go to the other room, we're gonna talk. And I was like, all right, cool. So 20 minutes goes by. We go to the next room next door, and it's like the suite. And I won't say who's in the room, but there was a few figures there that everyone would know, and his team. And he's just going off about personal stuff and this and that and the third. Now he's upset about this, but he's gonna change this and he's gonna do all these things. And I'm just like watching him just like preach, right? And all of a sudden, I'm just like sitting there, like I'm on this chair. There's probably about 15 people there. And he just looks at me and he goes, Web3, stand up, present. And I'm like, me? I'm looking at my friend, he's like, I'm like, okay. So he just poses up, I remember, next to the TV, and he's just sitting there listening to, waiting for me to present. And I'm just like, okay, so Web 1 was about read. Web 2 was about write, but it was controlled by these corporations, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. I could see him, his eyes just being engaged, like, that's right. Apple controls everything, you know, like Facebook, like all this. And then I'm like, but Web 3, you're now able to own. I can see him nodding his head. And I'm like, this is why I've been building the Apple killer, the Facebook killer, whatever you want to call it, open. And it's a decentralized platform where you can own your ideas, but direct with your communities without a middleman. He's going on, and he's like, you can tell he's just like into it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, and this is all gonna be made possible through an NFT, a digital asset. And right when I said NFT, I could see his demeanor go from like engaged to like, you know, he's just like backing off. And as I'm showing the app, the beta on my phone, he's like, can you stop there? And I'm like, he's like, are you done? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, yo, man. And again, I'm just like paraphrasing what he was saying, but he was like, you had me. Everything you're saying, I believe in. We don't own anything we need to own. And he's like, the way you spoke, everything, what you're saying made sense. But when you start talking about NFTs, that's where you lost me. He's like, I don't F with NFTs. I ain't about this crypto. Everyone pitching me this, NFT, that, man. He's like, I'm about real people, real food, real housing, you know, the real world. And he was going off, and I'm like, And he's like.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.